Ladies and gentlemen, this is enormous news, absolutely fantastic news. U.S. Attorney Durham very dialed in as he launches Russia probe review, met with Barr multiple times. Now, I like the way that sounds. That's wonderful. The Connecticut U.S. Attorney assigned by Attorney General Bill Barr, to investigate the origins of the Russia probe is, quote, very dialed in and, quote, asking all the right questions. Justice Department confirmed to Fox News that Barr has met, quote, on multiple occasions in recent weeks with Durham, who was in Washington, D.C. this month. I don't even know did John Huber ever leave Utah? Who knows? He's probably golfing now. Who knows? Fox News has learned that Durham has been getting briefed on the four corners of the investigation into the FBI's use of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act warrants, among other issues. Barr appointed Durham 68 last month. Quote, in fact, he probably has more questions, and some of the facts this is William Barr. In fact, probably have more questions, and some of the facts that I've learned don't hang together with the official explanations of what happened, Barr told CBS News in an interview. This is interesting. During the CBS interview, Barr revealed Durham picked up the FISA and surveillance components from Utah U.S. Attorney John Huber, whose work was put on hold pending DOJ Inspector General Michael Horowitz's findings from his ongoing review. Huber, Barr said, quote, was essentially on standby in case Horowitz, quote, referred a matter to him to be handled criminally. Well, okay. So he's essentially on standby, and John Durham is doing the heavy lifting. That's Fox. Washington Examiner. John Durham escalates review of Russia investigation origins. John Durham escalates review. Okay, so, this is great. We finally have an attorney general, not the Keebler elf. U.S. Attorney John Durham of Connecticut has met repeatedly with Attorney General William Barr since he was tasked last month with heading a review. Okay, Justice Department, FBI's misconduct. He's very dialed in and asking all the right questions. So, this is fantastic. Gee, what do you think? What do you think they're talking about? Do you think that William Barr and John Durham speak in the manner that Democrats speak when they're alone? Do you think that they speak in the manner that media communicates? With media, it's just a coinky-dink that Madam Cyberhack, the Golden Muumuu, her foundation received millions from Uranium One executives. That's a coincidence. Then they turn into Harry Carey. It's just a coincidence. Golly gee. You got millions of dollars flowing into the Clinton Foundation. You think it's anything other than charitable endeavors? Come on. Why would they continue to take money from people if they didn't just want to benefit the universe and the world? Of course they're taking money as a bribe. That's what media doesn't get. Or there's no suspicion. It's unbelievable. When she runs again, and like I said, yesterday, people become Harry Carey with that. How could she run if she's an overt criminal? You're the biggest criminal in U.S. history. You're not going to run again. Misses a pop-up in the sun. she's running again, and the Clinton Foundation is essentially an overt money laundering bribery scheme. People give money into the foundation, not in the pockets of Bill, unless it's for his birthday, according to the campaign emails, $1 million from one foreign country, just for 5 minutes of his time. I mean, it's interesting that we've forgotten about the revelations within the DNC and campaign emails. It's really, really interesting how Democrats and media, they're so good at erasing history. That's why when you watch when you watch my segments, I repeat 5 or 6 themes, sometimes 3 or 4 themes, over and over and over and over again. Because I'm like a time capsule. I'm like, in the 80s, you'd put like those little, boxes full of, souvenirs or whatever's going on at the moment. In case, you remember those things? In case, like, I don't know, some alien fire. I don't even remember why. I guess just to dig it up one day and be like, oh, wow, look at this. But you have to remember, well, what did we learn from the DNC emails? Oh, yeah, Debbie Wasserman Schultz was forced to resign because they cheated Bernie Sanders. The United States government is not certain. There's no guarantees. The DHS and ODNI reports. In my latest article, I list their warranty disclaimers, the same article that Rush Limbaugh has shared with his audience 2 days in a row. I'm very honored, very happy about that. But what do you think they're talking about? Do you think they're communicating in the same manner? Well, you just can't prove that the Clintons did anything, or that Madam Cyberhack had anything to do with it. They know that the Steele dossier was purchased by Clinton. They know that Alexander Downer has a direct link to the Clinton Foundation. They know that CrowdStrike was outsourced by Democrats. They know that the special counsel, Robert Mueller, essentially was an extension of the Democratic Party and Bill Clinton. I like when you talk about my extension, but I don't want it to be Bob Mueller. I'll tell you that right now. It was an extension of Madam Cyberhack and her husband, the Golden Muumuu and her husband. All of this is to pave the way. Scorched earth policy paved the way for a Clinton 2020 run. None of this had anything to do with national security. Facebook ads and the political demise, the election loss of one political party has nothing to do with elections or national security. When Jared Beck, Elizabeth Beck, and Nico House waged the DNC fraud lawsuit, in a very, very courageous lawsuit, the DNC stated, we're a private entity. We could do whatever the heck we want. Then, prior to that, they said, oh my God, this is the American election. This is U.S. democracy. We're under assault by a foreign hostile power. Who believes this nonsense? You know who does? Millions of people. Millions of people. So when the lawyers get involved, it's, we can cheat and we can pick, Clinton if we wanted to. It's fine. We're a private entity. We could do what we want. We could run primaries in the way we want. It's a private entity. Oh, you're a private entity, but you got the FBI and 2 other agencies, John O'Brien, James Comey, and James Clapper, to go to bat for you, to say that the Russians had this concerted effort, and you even have President Trump's administration repeating the same thing, simply to make government more important. Unfortunately, one great thing, President Trump is doing a great job, but one unfortunate repercussion of the whole Russian hacking interference nonsense is that they want to make government great again. It's not just make America great. It's make government great again. That's the whole thing. That's why Dan Coates, that's why when Democrats are like, even Trump's administration says the Russians interfered. It's like, nobody cares. Really, no. Only Democrats and people who don't like Trump, they like really like get into that, really, the interference. They were interfering. Oh, but David Fahrenthold of the Washington Post, he didn't interfere when we had to hear a hot mic that had nothing to do with the election. Oh, but it showed how horrible he was. Really? Do you know who Justin Fairfax is? The lieutenant governor for Virginia? What about Keith Ellison, attorney general of Minnesota? They have female accusers also. And their female accusers are like, we know who they are. They've stated things that have allegedly happened. One said, she couldn't feel her throat. So, I mean, but you know what? It's all about the hot mic. Then they say that Trump lies all the time, but of course he's telling the truth on the hot mic. They can't get their propaganda straight. They can't do it. But then again, they don't care. I had a wonderful conversation with a bunch of people who are not necessarily they're liberals, but they have, my God, Trump derangement syndrome. And these people are the great people, they're wonderful people, okay? But you can see, like, what Madam Cyberhack, the Golden Moo, and CNN, MSNBC, and the Washington Post, the New York Times, and all of them, Clapper, Brennan, Comey, Strzok, McCabe, all of them, all the people who are going to get indicted, all the people who are talking about, who John Durham and William Barr are talking about behind closed doors, in a manner that is leading to indictments eventually. So 12 minutes in, they're talking about indictments. They're talking about criminal acts. William Barr knows what's going on, but so does John Durham. He already was an FBI agent for decades. He's in prison. But I was speaking to a bunch of really wonderful people who happen to have, TDS. And every single propaganda spin that you get from MSNBC. See, I realized something. They're not aware, nor do they care that every time they make promises, we're going to find out that Trump worked with Russia. That when those fantasies are completely eroded or obliterated, and they just come crashing down, all of the myths and when the fantasy ends, there was no evidence to charge anyone, including Trump, for any kind of endeavor to conspire against the U.S. by working with Russia. I mean, there was no evidence for anything. Then they fall back on, don't you think of obstruction? But it's an unlawful probe. Oh, you don't trust the intelligence community? No, I don't. Oh, really? No, yeah. What do they write about? From Gulf of Tonkin to Facebook ads. They're wrong about everything. Oh, well, you know what? Okay, well, keep drinking the Kool-Aid. It's like, no, you're the one. You're the one they think they're living in reality, even though their reality changes every month, every 2 months. They're going to be full steam ahead with the USS Golden Moo, the sailing ship Golden Moo. Can you imagine? It's this giant, aircraft carrier, the Golden Moo. They're going to get on board. And when Hillary Clinton is going to run again in 2020, and all of this will make sense when she finally runs. And the same people who were like, Trump's personality, he has to be presidential. He's not, and this is what my friends were telling me, like liberals are like, he's not presidential. Well, the media has only one goal. It's to undermine and disparage Trump. It's the only one goal. What do you want him to do? Well, he needs to calm down on Twitter. Twitter, who cares what he says? People go after him, he fights back. Well, no, he has to be presidential, so she should just take it. Well, he obstructed justice, and the tariffs, oh my God, the tariffs. Do you know what the tariffs are doing? It's like, we still have a great economy. We still have a great economy. And the tariffs are part of a long-term strategy. I mean, we can go into it right now. I'm not going to go meander into another topic forever, but they're part of a short-term strategy. You don't engage in tariffs with China or Mexico forever. He's not doing that. The guy's a billionaire for a reason. Then, of course, he's not really a billionaire. He went bankrupt a bunch of times. Yeah, but, he's been successful pretty much in every industry. Doesn't mean he's been ethical all the time, but neither is Bill Gates. They were going after Microsoft for antitrust violations not long ago, about 20 years ago. About 18 years ago. There isn't a billionaire out there that is like, squeaky clean. That doesn't exonerate Trump and his business practices. My point, though, is that if they get caught with their pants down in terms of framing and setting up and fabricating Trump with a phony dossier and all that stuff, then they fall back on obstruction. And then you say, well, obstruction, well, how do we know? Michael Cohen and James Comey, it's hearsay from them. And John Dowd, it's like, well, how do we, or Sessions' staffer, well, how are we supposed to, oh, well, he was thinking of doing something he never did. Oh, well, there's a voicemail. It's like, okay, you're not going to get him on obstruction. So, William Barr, he misrepresented the Mueller report. No, he didn't. The Mueller report literally is about declination decisions. They declined to indict, to charge Trump or anyone around him for colluding with Russia. So what's the problem? Well, he did a whole bunch of other things. The whole point I'm trying to make is that it's worked. The propaganda has worked like a charm. And they're the ones, they don't realize that the average liberal or the average person that really dislikes Trump, their vantage point is, if the media is saying it, it must be true. So, but that's not going to be enough to win, because at the end of the day, you need Florida, you need a state in the Rust Belt. Clinton's not going to get that. There's a chance, but no, Clinton will lose again. Now, the level of this like dystopian media spin and zealotry and this, what they do from now until the election, how they react, how they try to justify the fanaticism that they kind of engage in. I mean, it's probably going to be unprecedented. This is politically probably the last hurrah for Madam Cyberhack, the Golden Muumuu. It's the last hurrah. Hooray. So, I mean, they're gonna come out guns blazing. It's not, you think that it's Botox Biden? You lose energy. When I look at Biden and Bernie, it's like you lose energy. Bernie Sanders did a good, his shtick was pretty powerful. It really sucked me in. I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post. I was the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. And guess what? We have President Trump. Prison reform, non-interventionist foreign policy, He stated he wanted to bring home Americans from two theaters of conflict. The media and Democrats and even Bernie Sanders were like, "It has to be an orderly withdrawal. You can't bring them back now." You have the beginning of peace between North and South Korea, and you try to bring that up to people. And I explained in one of my Federalist articles. One of my Federalist articles, why Bernie supporters should vote Trump 2020. But you try to bring that up to any person who dislikes Trump. It's like, oh yeah, well, nothing really is going to happen, and we're just the same. It's like, no, it's not. It's not the same. There's no other president that actually met with a North Korean leader, ever. Moon Jae-in and Kim Jong-un shook hands, hugged each other. I mean, South Korea and North Korea never had diplomatic relations since the ceasefire. In 1953, it's been a constant state of war. So, I mean, what took place was monumental, even though there's a lot of work to do. But you can't even get that out of a person. Look, the average person who doesn't like Trump has no tangible reason. Well, he represents this. He said this. And, well, then you should probably dislike Clinton for saying worse and doing worse on the issues of race and foreign policy and everything else. They don't look at it that way. They use the dumb phrase, whataboutism. Yeah, it's called hypocrisy and irony. If you are upset over a tweet, you should probably be upset that President Obama and Hillary Clinton, the Golden Muumuu, presided over destroying an entire country in Libya. You should probably be upset if you're upset over a tweet. Then you should probably be, if you're upset over tariffs, then you should really be livid over President Obama just shoveling money into failed corporations. So, I mean, look, it's oh, well, he's not presidential. Well, they're not treating him like a president. So why should he why should he act in such a presidential manner if they're not even treating him like a president? They're treating him like, this alien monster, this Martian. It's an orange monster, Martian, came from Jupiter and Mars and trying to invade us. It's like they are. Oh, what's the people? You're going to see people. Social media is going to be in a really unhealthy place. And especially either before or after, when William Barr and John Durham eventually, and we get the Inspector General report, and when they eventually indict Comey, could be all of them, could be a whole bunch, but Comey, Strzok, McCabe, Clapper, Brennan, they're all, there are other people as well on the lower on the rankings of the hierarchy. You're going to see that they're going to say, "Oh my God, he's a tyrant, he's an authoritarian." All the ridiculous accusations, and I'm coming out with a website that debunks all of this. You'll be able to defeat anyone who has Trump derangement syndrome on any type of debate. And HA2A, my firearms channel, that's going to transition to a channel that's in conjunction with my new website. So it's going to be great. I'll explain everything, another time, but it's going to be an awesome website. You'll be able to defeat anyone who has TDS. If you have to speak to people with TDS, see, my vantage point, when I go out with my friends or I hang out with, but just recently, yeah, fine, I spoke to the liberals, fine. Almost all my friends, most of my friends are liberals, but the thing is, or progressives, and they respect me for the most part, but like generally, I don't talk about politics anymore because I do it all the time. I'm on YouTube all the time, in my writing, and I'm very happy that Rush Limbaugh shared my latest article, and so. But also, there's no point to it. But if you have to debate somebody with TDS, my website will help tremendously on every issue. Foreign policy. Oh, Trump is a racist. Okay, well, I'll go ahead and you'll be able to defeat that argument in a second, or within 5 minutes. I'll give you all the information. But anyway, It's worked. The media spin has worked. And what will also work is when the golden moo levitates above the DNC and all the lemmings and all these, zombies and all the androids say, "Oh my God. Hello, Madam Cyberhack. We love you. We've been waiting for you." It's going to be, they're going to turn the page from Biden and Bernie and everyone else that didn't even break 8% in the primary. And it's going to be all about Madam Cyberhack 24/7 and how much better she would be than the monster, the Cheeto orange monster. And nobody will make the correlation. They won't make the correlation between the Steele dossier, Alexander Downer, CrowdStrike, everything else, and Clinton 2020. They won't make that correlation. But I am making it every single day, numerous times a day, multiple times, just like John Durham met with William Barr multiple times. Finally, something's taking place. We'll have the Inspector General report coming out. He's interviewing Christopher Steele. A lot of things taking place. President Trump, one thing he has is patience. The guy is patient. I'm not a very patient person. I'm pretty patient, but not, Trump is patient. And he just waded through the Mueller report, and there was no collusion. Now there's obstruction, and there's no obstruction. Now they're trying to hold William Barr in contempt. That's not going to work. And at the end of the day, once Hillary runs formally, which she will, people will be like, "Oh, wow, we finally see what's going on." But you won't be able to tell that to anyone on the left because it won't register. They'll be like, "What are you talking about? How could she have known that this is going to be some issue that has her just come in, pop in and save the Democratic Party? Something, who knows why, whatever, who cares? It's going to be a pretext anyway." So, after 5 New York Times articles and 3 Washington Post articles and 7 specials on CNN and MSNBC and handwritten letters from little, kids everywhere. And, "Oh, you know what? And there was a lunar eclipse and there's a meteor and a shooting star. And I've decided, even though the Russians did everything to stop me, I'll save the Democrats from the monster in the White House." And then that will be the theme. And then, heaven forbid, someone gets indicted. It'll be like, "You see what's taking place? Do you want to allow this?" Anyway, it's important to just prepare yourself mentally and emotionally and psychologically for the onslaught of just like maniacal media spin. Because when Clinton eventually runs again, the worst, Trump voters and Trump are going to be painted as even worse than deplorable, and anyone on the left that dares speak out will be the next H.A. Goodman or worse than me. Can you imagine? Worse than even me. So, anyway, that's the context, and that's the it's just important to see the context. Everything relates to Clinton 2020. Everything relates to the Golden Moo Madam Cyberhack 2020. Everything. And when it happens, we can finally move on as a country. They can show their true colors, because these are not their true colors, do you understand? They're not rolling with Biden. But Biden, there's no way that... And then you get like, well, she'll never run because she knows she can't win. Well, you think Biden thinks he could win? You think people look at Biden? Even the New York Times are like, who really wants Biden? Like, that's a diss. That doesn't happen. The New York Times never does that. But anyway, it's fantastic news. It really is fantastic news that Durham is, about to make something happen. We're going to be speaking about this for years to come. Years to come. You're going to get the Inspector General report, then you're going to get William Barr asking more questions, and then John Durham meeting more times with William Barr, and then finally, eventually, Madam Cyberhack will announce, and then that'll probably, lead to a whole bunch of other new investigations or, bolster existing investigations. Then the election will take place, then she'll lose the election, and then the fun begins. And then William Barr and John Durham say, let's have a party. Give me your thoughts below. Thank you to all my subscribers, my new subscribers as well. Thank you for continuing to share my work and my segments. It's greatly appreciated. The channel is growing, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, we're on our way to 150,000 subs. I mean, this is great. This is great. And, this election cycle is going to be, it's therapy for me to speak to you. And I mean this, I swear to God. And this is not like, some kind of marketing shtick. It's really therapy. No. It's therapy for me to speak to you, and I hope it's somewhat of the same for you to listen to me. For the people who have managed to make it this long, hope it's safe to say, or hopefully you enjoy my voice. And it's like a detox. I've heard people tell me that watching this channel is like a, either a therapy session or detox from all the nonsense and mania in the media, especially from the left. And if you thought, people were just completely deranged before, I mean, we ain't seen nothing yet regarding the zealots, people who will stop at nothing to get Madam Cyberhack elected. Give me your thoughts below. If you want to support my voice long term, my Patreon is below in the pinned comment. You can see what the different segments where Rush Limbaugh actually talks about my latest Federalist article. Ladies and gentlemen, have a fantastic day. Definitely check out my segments later today.